Thanks for joining us. We at First Presbyterian practice what we call a spacious Christianity, where we remind each other of our essential goodness, because it's so easy to forget that in this world, where all are welcome and diversity is celebrated, where doubts and questions are a gift that lead us into deeper conversations, where vulnerability is a strength and your tears are holy, where we encourage each other to live the spacious and radical love of Jesus so that all might have a chance to flourish in this world. It is our hope that here you will find space to breathe, a faith to believe in, and a God who believes in you. Welcome.
Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Help my heart to hear your sound. Speak into my life, Lord, speak now. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Help my heart to hear your sound. Speak into my life, Lord, speak now. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Clear my mind, oh Lord, clear my mind. Bring me peace that I cannot find. Take my worried thoughts, break my pride. Clear my mind, oh Lord, clear my mind. Wake my soul, oh Lord, wake my soul. With this mess I've made, make me whole. Of this life called mine, take control. Wake my soul, oh Lord, wake my soul. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Help my heart to hear your sound. Speak into my life, Lord, speak now. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down. Slow me down, oh Lord, slow me down.
I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping, body and soul held in peace. My heart cries out to you, my God. All that upsets me, you see. All that disturbs me, you understand. Only here, in your presence, am I fully known. I am wrapped in grace. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping. Body and soul held in peace. I try to relax, but anger rattles me. I try to relax, but my failings niggle at me. Be still. Be silent. Put your trust in the Lord. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping. Body and soul held in peace. In the stillness, the light of your face shines. My heart turns to thankfulness and is glad. I have more than enough. You, Lord, are more than enough. I lie down to sleep, safe and sound. I rest in you, O God. I am in your safekeeping. Body and soul held in peace. Be still and rest. You are held in peace.
In the story of creation, God is very busy creating for 6 days. And then God looks over all that God has created, including you and me, and God declares it all very good. And then the Bible says, on the 7th day, God rested. God rested from all the work that God had done. So God blessed the 7th day and called it holy. Did you notice that the first holy thing in all of creation was not people or a place, but a day of rest? God declared all of creation good, but when God rested in the goodness of creation, God called that rest holy. Now that's a different kind of God than the gods of busyness, hurry, production, achievement that our culture worships. Imagine a God who rests, a foundational part of creation, not an afterthought, but a foundational part of creation is rest. Rest is not a reward you might get if you work hard enough. Rest is a gift. Resting and delighting in the goodness of creation is an essential part of God's rhythms. Now, this is a different kind of God than the God we worship in our culture, that demands production, demands perfection, where we measure our worth by relentlessly trying to prove we are worthy. The God who rests invites us to take time to rest in the knowledge that we already are worthy. The God who rests actually makes rest one of the 10 commandments. Commandment number 4, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. This commandment to remember the day of rest and to keep it holy was given to God's people at Mount Sinai during the Exodus when the children of Israel had just been liberated from slavery in Egypt. They were slaves for 400 years. They worked in the brickyard, making bricks for Pharaoh. Now they worked long, oppressive days, producing as many perfect bricks as they possibly could in a day. And their whole life was defined by that work and the anxiety and the stress of that work. And even though they were now free, they had long forgotten the goodness of creation. They had long forgotten the goodness of their own lives. You know, the gods of our culture are often like Pharaoh, demanding perfect bricks. I mean, rest is something you do in order to make more bricks. I confess, I'm often guilty of using my day off to catch up on the work I didn't accomplish the rest of the week. Anyone with me? Or reading books related to my work on my vacation. It's a different kind of God who gives the gift of rest and doesn't make it a suggestion, but a commandment, who calls rest holy. The theme for our worship this summer is called One Thing. I mean, what's the one thing we all need to be reminded of to live with greater resilience and compassion in these challenging days? The one thing essential for our spiritual well-being and the well-being of our world is to remember Sabbath. Keep it holy. To remember to rest. Rest isn't selfish. I mean, self-care isn't selfish. Rest is actually good stewardship of the gift you were put on earth to offer others, which is the gift of your presence. And any time you give yourself the soul care that you require, you do it not only for yourself, but also for the many other people your life will touch in a day. There was a Presbyterian medical mission team of doctors, dentists, and nurses that traveled to Africa, and their Presbyterian congregation gathered medical supplies to be taken to a remote village. Now, some of the supplies would be used as they treated people during their visit, and the remainder would be left to be used by medical students who were involved in field education there. There were far more supplies than the mission team could handle on their own, so they hired some indigenous persons to carry the bulk of the load and to be their guides. It was estimated that it would take them 3 days to go from the city to this remote village. And off they went. First day went smoothly. In fact, the group covered more ground than anticipated. Perhaps they would be able to get to the village in 2 days, if they really pushed themselves the next day. But on the morning of the second day, their guides were not in a hurry to get moving at all. They were sipping their tea reverently. They were enjoying long conversations with each other. And when there was no sign of leaving and the clock said 10 a.m., one of the doctors dared to ask, "What's causing the delay in our travel? Why are we wasting time? We're not paying you to sit there and do nothing." And the guide said, "It's true. If we left very early this morning, we would be at the village long before we had planned. But you are mistaken if you think we are doing nothing. You see, it's only our bodies that have traveled this far. We are not wasting our time. We are resting and waiting for our souls to catch up with our bodies. The indigenous guides had the wisdom to know that when we are in a hurry, when we're constantly moving, when we're driven by our agendas, we don't allow our souls to catch up with our bodies. And we get out of sync with divine rhythms. We need the gift of rest. I mean, there's a tiredness that can be remedied by a good night's sleep. But there's another kind of weariness that can only be remedied by letting our souls catch up with our bodies. I was watching politicians and talking heads argue on one of the cable news networks this week. It wasn't anything new. It was the same tired arguments and the way of arguing that is so out of sync with divine rhythms. I mean, they were yelling, they were assuming the worst in one another, they were interrupting and talking over one another. They were demonizing those who disagreed with them. They were blaming and shaming each other. You know, the kind of out of sync conflict and hostility we see played out every day in our lives together. I was watching this and I wanted to yell, "Stop! Just stop. Time out. Take a breath. Get up out of your chair. Go for a walk outside in silence. Find some grass. Take off your shoes and socks. Walk barefoot. Sit under a tree. Listen to the birds. Listen to the steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. Look around you. Be reminded of the goodness of creation. Be reminded of your own goodness. Let the flowers, the trees, the birds, the breeze tell you a different story than the ugly story of hate and fear that just keeps getting recycled. I so wanted to say to those people on television yelling at each other, clearly, your soul hasn't caught up with your body. Rest for a minute. Reconnect with your soul. You know, friends, even if you're outraged, and there are plenty of reasons to be outraged these days, it's too easy for outrage to become hate if we're not careful. It's really too easy to become a reflection of the ugliness we are protesting. Now, outrage can be a sign that your soul is awake to how out of sync we are with divine rhythms. But hate eats away at your soul. Hate eats away at the soul of our life together. And there's just far too much hate. One of our greatest spiritual challenges right now is to stay connected to our souls, to be reminded of the goodness of creation, to reclaim our own goodness, to see the goodness in others, to stay connected to what is holy and life-giving and soul-nurturing. How can we possibly live as the presence of God's goodness in the world when we ourselves are out of sync with that goodness, out of sync with the capacity to see that goodness in others? So God gives us a gift, the gift of rest, to let our souls catch up with our bodies. I mean, Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. Come to me, all of you who are drowning in a sea of despair. Come to me, all of you who are trying hard to be perfect, hard to make perfect bricks. Come to me, all of you who are not just tired, but soul tired. Come to me, and I will give you rest. The very first thing Jesus offers is a place to stop, rest. To be reminded that we are loved not for what we can do or accomplish, but that we are simply loved. And to be invited to simply rest in that love. You know, most people I talk to, maybe you as well, tell me why, it's impossible, just impossible to establish consistent rhythms of rest. Here's an interesting spiritual exercise I encourage you to try. Take a piece of paper, cut it in half, make 2 lists. And on one half of the paper, list all of the things that you know that give you life. List those things that you know that nurture your soul, those things that allow you to breathe easier and return you to yourself. List those things that you never take the time to do. Then on the other half of the paper, make a list of all of the reasons why you think it's impossible for you to do those other things. That's all there is to it. Just make the 2 lists and keep the piece of paper where you can see it. Oh, one more thing. Promise not to shush your heart when it shouts out for the list it wants and knows that your soul needs. Friends, let yourself receive the gift of rest. Do nothing for a day or an hour or even 15 minutes. Not because you're sick, but because you desire to be well. Talk someone you love into being well with you. Turn off all electronics. Put away your phone. Take a nap. Go for a walk. Drink tea slowly. Eat a nourishing meal. Sit in silence until your anxious thoughts are silenced. And listen. Listen without trying to solve or prove anything. Listen with curiosity. Listen as if love was the only thing that mattered. Test the premise that you are worth more than what you can produce. That even if you spent one whole day or 1 hour being good for nothing, you are still precious in God's sight. You have nothing to prove to anyone, especially to God. And this is so important. God made it a commandment. It's God's gift to us. Remember to rest. Keep rest holy. Let your soul catch up with your body. You just might find yourself free and dancing to divine rhythms. May it be so.
Lay down your burden, I will carry you. I will carry you, my child, my child. Lay down your burden, my child, lay down your burden, I will carry you, I will carry you, my child, I'll carry you, my child, I'll carry you.
For the blessing, I offer this poem by Wendell Berry called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in the beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. Friends, go in the peace of Christ. Remember to rest. Keep rest holy, and may your love bring peace to others. Amen.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you found a space to breathe, a faith you can believe in, and a God who believes in you. Visit us at bendfp.org. There you can get more information on who we are and what we're about. You can learn about how we're trying to make a difference in this world and how you can partner with us and support us financially. Or you can make a prayer request. Until next time, God bless.